I will never forget the image of my wife sitting on our living room floor, surrounded by hundreds of handmade paper flowers she had spent 3 months creating. Her phone screen glowed with a message from my sister Brooke. It read, "She is not welcome anymore." Just like that. No explanation, no gratitude. How does someone pour their entire heart into making another person's dream come true only to be discarded like trash? And what happens when we decide to take everything back? Before I begin this story, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that subscribe button and tap the like button, because this story is one you will want to see through to the end. Now let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Angelo. I have been married to Mia for 4 years now. We met at a community charity event where she was coordinating volunteers, and I was just there to help build houses for families in need. I remember watching her move through the crowd with such purpose, clipboard in hand, solving problems before they even became problems. She had this way of making everyone feel seen and important. I knew right then that she was someone special. Mia works as an event coordinator for a small company downtown. She is the kind of person who remembers birthdays, who shows up with soup when you are sick, who stays late to help a colleague finish a project, even when she has her own deadlines. Her heart is bigger than anyone I have ever known. Me, I work as a software engineer. I am more of the quiet type, the one who observes and thinks before speaking. Together we balance each other out. Our marriage is not perfect, but it is built on respect and genuine love. My sister Brooke is 5 years younger than me. She works as a sales associate at a clothing boutique, and she got engaged to Travis, a mechanic who runs his own small auto repair shop. They are good people, or at least I thought they were. When Brooke called me about 8 months ago, she was crying so hard I could barely understand her. She and Travis wanted to get married, but they had almost nothing saved. Their budget was so tight that she did not know how they could afford anything beyond a courthouse ceremony. I listened to her pour out her worries, and then I had an idea. Mia was a professional at this. She planned events for a living. Maybe she could help turn Brooke's limited budget into something beautiful. When I brought it up to Mia that evening, her eyes lit up immediately. She did not hesitate for even a second. "Of course I will help," she said. "Consider it my wedding gift to them." Mia promised to do everything for free. Brooke would only need to cover the basic material costs. When we told Brooke, she broke down in tears all over again, but this time from happiness. She hugged Mia so tightly and said words I will never forget. "You are the best sister I could ever ask for." I stood there watching them embrace, feeling warmth spread through my chest. My wife and my sister bonding over something beautiful. My mother Linda was there too, sitting in the corner of the room. She watched the whole scene unfold with an expression I could not quite read. Her lips pressed together in a thin line, and her eyes moved between Mia and Brooke like she was calculating something. I dismissed it at the time. I should not have. The months that followed were a testament to Mia's dedication. In January, she sat down with Brooke for hours creating mood boards and discussing visions. They settled on a color scheme of blush pink and sage green. Mia contacted 12 different venues, negotiating prices and comparing options. She finally found a renovated warehouse space that had rustic charm and modern amenities. The owner agreed to rent it for half the market price because Mia had worked with him on a corporate event years ago. There was just one problem. Brooke did not have enough money for the deposit. Without hesitation, Mia paid it herself, $1,200 from our savings. Brooke promised to pay her back before the wedding. Mia smiled and told her not to worry about it. February brought even more work. Mia designed and printed 200 wedding invitations at home using our own printer and specialty paper she ordered online. But she did not stop there. She hand-wrote calligraphy on every single envelope, spending hours each night perfecting each curve and stroke. Her wrist ached for days, but she never complained. She reached out to a photographer she knew from college, a talented guy who now charged premium rates for weddings. After a long conversation and some genuine pleading, he agreed to shoot the entire wedding for 70% off his usual fee. Mia also found a caterer through a friend of a friend who was willing to provide food at cost, no markup, just as a favor. March was when the real labor began. Every night after coming home from her full-time job, Mia would sit at our dining table surrounded by colored paper, scissors, and wire. She was making handmade paper flowers for the wedding decorations. Her goal was 500 flowers in various sizes and shades of pink and green. I would come downstairs at midnight and find her still working, her fingers moving mechanically while her eyes drooped with exhaustion. "You should rest," I would tell her. "Just a few more," she would always reply. She went dress shopping with Brooke multiple times until they found a beautiful vintage gown at a consignment shop. The price was still more than Brooke could afford up front, so Mia paid half as a deposit to hold it. Another $400 from our account. The bridal shower was held at our house. Mia cooked for 20 guests herself, decorated every corner with handmade banners and centerpieces, and organized games that had everyone laughing and crying happy tears. Brooke posted photos on Instagram that night with a caption that read, "The most amazing sister-in-law anyone could ask for. I am so blessed." I watched all of this unfold with pride swelling in my chest. My wife was extraordinary. And I believed that everyone could see it too. The first crack appeared about 4 weeks before the wedding. We were at a family dinner at my mother's house. Everyone was there talking and eating when I overheard my mother speaking quietly to Brooke in the kitchen. "Do you not think Mia is enjoying this a little too much?" Linda said, her voice dripping with something that sounded like suspicion. I froze near the doorway, out of sight but within earshot. "What do you mean?" Brooke asked. "I mean, she is making everything about her. Have you noticed how many people compliment her instead of you? This is your wedding, sweetheart, not her show." My stomach tightened. I wanted to walk in and confront them, but something held me back. Maybe I was hoping Brooke would defend Mia. Maybe I was just too shocked to move. "I had not really thought about it," Brooke said slowly. "Well, you should. A bride should be the star of her own wedding, not the planner." I walked away before they could see me. That night I did not tell Mia what I heard. I told myself it was nothing, just my mother being dramatic. I was wrong. Over the following days I noticed Brooke changing. She took longer to respond to Mia's messages. Her enthusiasm dimmed. Where she once replied with exclamation points and heart emojis, now her texts were short and flat. Mia noticed too, but she blamed it on pre-wedding stress. 3 weeks before the wedding, things escalated. Brooke called Mia and announced that she no longer liked the sage green color scheme. She wanted to change it to something else, maybe dusty blue or champagne gold. Mia stayed calm, even though I could see the panic in her eyes. "Brooke, we have already ordered the flowers, the ribbons, the tablecloths, everything in sage green and blush pink. Changing now would mean spending a lot more money and redoing weeks of work." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Brooke's voice came through, cold and sharp. "This is my wedding, Mia, not yours." The words hung in the air like a slap. Mia apologized, promised to see what adjustments she could make. After she hung up, she sat at the table for a long time, just staring at nothing. That same week, my mother called me directly. Her tone was accusatory from the first word. "Angelo, you need to talk to your wife." "About what?" "She is controlling everything. She is not letting Brooke have any say in her own wedding. Your sister is stressed out because of her." I felt my blood pressure rise. Mom, Mia has done nothing but help. She has spent hundreds of hours and thousands of our own dollars making this wedding happen. Brooke could not afford any of this without her. That does not give her the right to take over. She needs to step back. Step back after everything she has done. Just talk to her, Angelo. I hung up feeling sick. When I told Mia about the conversation, she looked like someone had punched her in the gut. But she did not get angry. She just nodded quietly and said she would try to give Brooke more space. 2 weeks before the wedding, Brooke demanded a meeting to discuss everything again. We gathered at my mother's house. Brooke sat with Travis on one side, Linda on the other. Mia and I faced them like we were on trial. From the moment we sat down, my mother dominated the conversation. Every time Mia tried to explain something, Linda cut her off. Every accomplishment Mia mentioned was dismissed with a wave of Linda's hand. "Anyone could have done what you did," my mother said. "You are not special for making some phone calls and folding paper." I watched Mia's face. She was trying so hard to stay composed, but I could see her hands trembling under the table. I reached over and held them. "You just want everyone to thank you," Linda continued. "You just want attention and praise. This is about Brooke, not about you." I could not stay silent anymore. I stood up my chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "That is enough. Mom, you owe Mia an apology. She has done nothing but sacrifice for this family, and you are treating her like a villain." Linda's eyes went cold. "Sit down, Angelo. You are being dramatic." "I am being honest. Apologize." She did not. Instead, Brooke spoke up for the first time. "Maybe we should take a break from planning for a few days. Things are too tense right now." We left without resolution. Mia did not cry until we got home. Then she sobbed in my arms for an hour. 5 days before the wedding, we were having dinner at home. It was a quiet evening. Mia had barely touched her food. Her phone buzzed on the table and she glanced at it casually, expecting nothing important. Then her face went pale. I watched her read the message, watched her eyes widen, watched her hand start to shake. Without a word, she turned the phone toward me. It was a message in our family group chat from Brooke. "After careful consideration, Travis and I have decided that Mia is no longer welcome at our wedding. She has made this about herself and we need to focus on us. Please respect our decision." I read it 3 times. The words did not change. They just sat there, cold and final. I grabbed my phone and called Brooke immediately. It rang and rang before going to voicemail. I called again. Same result. I called my mother instead. She picked up on the second ring. "I assume you saw the message," she said, her voice maddeningly calm. "What is going on? What did Mia do?" "Nothing specific. Brooke just feels like it is best if Mia does not attend. There has been too much tension." "Too much tension, Mom. Mia built this entire wedding from nothing. She paid for the venue deposit. She paid for half the dress. She made 500 flowers by hand. And she also made everything about herself. Sometimes the kindest thing is to step away." My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. "What about me? Am I still invited?" "Of course you are. You are family. She is not." Those 4 words hit me like a truck. She is not family. After everything Mia had done, after every sacrifice, she was nothing to them. "If Mia is not welcome, then I am not coming either." Linda laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Do not be dramatic, Angelo. You will regret missing your only sister's wedding." "No, Mom. I will regret staying with people who treat the woman I love like garbage." I hung up before she could respond. That night was one of the longest of my life. Mia sat on our living room floor, surrounded by the boxes of paper flowers she had made. 500 of them, each one crafted with care, each one representing hours of love poured into something that was never appreciated. She did not cry at first. She just sat there numb, turning one flower over and over in her hands. "What did I do wrong?" she finally whispered. "I tried so hard. I gave everything I had." I sat down beside her and pulled her close. "You did nothing wrong. You were generous and kind and selfless. They are the ones who failed you." "But she is your sister. I ruined your relationship with your family." "No, they ruined it. They made a choice to throw away someone incredible. That is not your fault." We sat in silence for a long time. Then something shifted inside me. A cold clarity settled over my thoughts. "If they do not want you there," I said slowly, "then they do not get to keep what you built." Mia looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. "What do you mean?" "I mean everything. The venue you booked with your name and your money, the flowers you made with your hands, the vendors you convinced to give discounts, all of it. If they do not want you, they do not get to have any part of you." She hesitated. "Angelo, that would destroy the wedding that you created, the wedding you were banned from. Why should they enjoy your work?" while treating you like dirt." She was quiet for a long moment. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the part of her that still wanted to be kind, still wanted to avoid conflict. "What about your mom? Your sister? This will burn every bridge." "What bridges? They already torched them when they sent that message. We are just clearing the debris." Mia looked down at the paper flower in her hands. Slowly, she placed it back in the box. "Okay," she said quietly. "Let us take it all back." The next morning we began. I called the venue first thing. I explained the situation honestly. The contract was in Mia's name, the deposit was from her account, and she was rescinding the booking. The venue manager was sympathetic. He processed the cancellation and refunded the deposit within 48 hours. Mia called the photographer next. He had already heard rumors about what happened through mutual friends. When Mia apologized for canceling, he stopped her mid-sentence. "Do not apologize. What they did to you is disgusting. You deserved better." The caterer was next. Same story. The cancellation was processed without any pushback. The caterer even sent Mia a message afterward saying she was sorry people could be so ungrateful. On the second day, we packed up all 500 paper flowers. Mia handled each one carefully, placing them in boxes and sealing them shut. These were hers now. They always had been. I helped her gather all the decorations she had made and purchased. Ribbons, centerpieces, lanterns, table numbers. Everything she had touched went into our garage. The wedding dress was still at the bridal shop with half the payment outstanding. Mia called and explained that she would not be completing the purchase. Since the balance was not paid, the shop kept the dress and returned Mia's deposit. I sent a polite email to everyone on the RSVP list that Mia had managed. I kept it simple and professional, stating only that there had been changes to the wedding arrangements, and they should contact the bride directly for updated information. On the third day, the DJ canceled after hearing what happened from the photographer. The florist who had agreed to provide fresh flowers at a discount also pulled out. One by one, every vendor Mia had arranged either canceled or refused to work without her involvement. By the end of those 3 days, the wedding Mia had built was gone. All that remained was an empty date on a calendar. 3 days before the scheduled wedding, Brooke finally tried to finalize arrangements. She called the venue to confirm setup times. The venue informed her that the booking had been canceled. I can only imagine the panic that followed. She called the photographer. Canceled. The caterer. Canceled. The DJ. Gone. The florist. Gone. Within hours, Brooke was at our front door, pounding with both fists. I opened it to find her standing there, face streaked with tears, mascara running down her cheeks. "What did you do?" she screamed. "You ruined my wedding. You destroyed everything." I stood in the doorway, calm as stone. "No, Mia built your wedding, every single piece of it, and you threw her out like she was nothing, so we took back what belonged to her. Those flowers, those decorations, I need them. Those flowers were made by her hands for someone who appreciated her. You made it clear you do not." Brooke's face contorted with rage. "You cannot do this. This is sabotage." "It is not sabotage when everything was hers to begin with. Her name on the contracts, her money for the deposits, her labor creating everything from scratch. She gave you a gift, and you spat in her face." Brooke pulled out her phone and called our mother right there on the porch. Within 20 minutes, Linda arrived, storming up our driveway with fire in her eyes. "I will sue you for this," she shouted. "I will drag you both through court." I did not flinch. "Go ahead. Every contract was in Mia's name. Every payment came from our account. There is nothing illegal about taking back your own property and canceling your own bookings." Linda's face turned red. She sputtered, searching for a threat that would land, but there was nothing. We had done everything by the book. Brooke stood there, trembling, phone still in hand. Then she did something I should have anticipated. She opened Facebook and started typing. Her post went live within minutes. It was long, dramatic, and full of lies. She called Mia toxic, jealous, and vindictive. She claimed Mia had sabotaged the wedding out of spite because she could not stand to see Brooke happy. The comments started pouring in. At first, a few people expressed sympathy for Brooke, but then something shifted. Kristen, Mia's best friend, who was originally going to be a bridesmaid, posted a comment that changed everything. She laid out the entire timeline: the venue Mia booked and paid for, the 500 handmade flowers, the dress deposit, the hours of unpaid work, the bridal shower Mia hosted, and then the message that banned her 5 days before the wedding. Other people who knew the truth started speaking up. Friends, vendors, even distant relatives who had seen what Mia contributed. The narrative flipped. Brooke's post became a monument to her own selfishness. Within hours, people started canceling their RSVPs. Some messaged me directly saying they refused to attend a wedding for someone so ungrateful. The wedding happened anyway. It had to. The invitations had been sent, the date was set, and Brooke refused to postpone. But it was nothing like what Mia had planned. Instead of the beautiful warehouse venue with exposed brick and string lights, the ceremony took place in my mother's backyard. Instead of 80 guests celebrating under elegant paper flowers and carefully arranged centerpieces, 20 people sat on folding chairs surrounded by cheap balloons from a dollar store. There was no professional photographer, just phone cameras capturing awkward angles. No caterer, just potluck dishes that did not match. The vintage dress was gone, so Brooke wore something she found at a department store the day before. I was not there to see it. Neither was Mia. But people talked. People always talk. I heard that Travis spent most of the reception looking at his new wife with an expression somewhere between disappointment and doubt. I heard that Linda's speech was defensive and bitter, full of veiled insults toward people who abandoned family. I heard that barely anyone danced and most guests left early. I also heard from relatives who reached out afterward to apologize. Aunts and uncles who had seen Brooke's Facebook post and read the comments. Cousins who had watched the whole thing unfold and realized they had been on the wrong side. "We did not know the full story," my Aunt Margaret told me over the phone. "We are so sorry for what Mia went through." For Mia, the first few weeks after the wedding were hard. She did not regret taking everything back, but she grieved the relationship she thought she had with my family. She grieved the sister bond she thought was real. I did everything I could to support her. I cooked her favorite meals. I took her for long walks in the park near our house. I held her when she cried and reminded her every day that she did nothing wrong. Slowly, things got better. Kristen organized a small gathering at her apartment for Mia, just 6 of her closest friends, people who truly appreciated her. They laughed and talked and reminded Mia of her worth. It was not a grand gesture, but it meant everything. Mia took the 500 paper flowers out of their boxes. At first, she was not sure what to do with them. They represented so much pain. But eventually, she found a new purpose for them. She arranged them throughout our home, on mantels and vases hanging from the ceiling of our sunroom. They became reminders not of rejection, but of her own creativity and resilience. "I made something beautiful," she told me one evening, looking at a cluster of pink flowers she had mounted in a shadow box. "No one can take that away from me." I learned something through all of this too. I learned that family is not just about blood. Family is about how people treat you. My mother and sister showed me exactly how much my wife meant to them, and it was nothing. That truth hurt, but it also freed me. I stopped making excuses for them. I stopped hoping things would go back to normal. Instead, I focused on the family Mia and I were building together. Our home, our future, our chosen circle of people who actually deserved our love. 6 months later, I got a message from Brooke. It was an apology of sorts. She said she had been influenced by others and that she regretted how things turned out. She asked if we could talk. I showed the message to Mia. She read it quietly, then set my phone down. "I am not ready," she said. "Maybe someday I can forgive her, but I will never forget what she did, and I will never put myself in a position to be hurt like that again." I respected her decision. Forgiveness is a personal journey, and no one gets to rush it. As for me, I replied to Brooke with a simple message. When you are ready to apologize to Mia directly and sincerely, let me know. Until then, there is nothing to talk about. She never responded. Life moved on. Mia and I took a trip for our anniversary, somewhere warm with clear water and no cell service. We spent a week doing nothing but enjoying each other's company. No family drama, no expectations, just us. Looking back on everything I have learned that some of the deepest wounds come from the people closest to you, the ones who are supposed to love you unconditionally. But just because someone is family does not mean they deserve unlimited access to your heart. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is survival. It is self-respect. It is choosing your peace over someone else's chaos. My wife is the most generous person I know. She gave everything she had to make my sister's dream come true, and in return she was discarded like she meant nothing. But here is what they failed to understand. Mia's value was never determined by their appreciation. Her kindness was not diminished by their ingratitude. She is still extraordinary. She always will be. And me, I stand by her, every single day, because that is what real family does. If someone shows you that your kindness means nothing to them, believe them. Do not wait for more proof. Do not make excuses for their behavior. Just believe them. And then take your kindness somewhere it will be treasured. I want to ask you something before you go. Have you ever given everything to someone who ended up showing you that you meant nothing to them? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know others in this community will too. Your experience might help someone else going through the same thing. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next story. And remember, your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It is determined by who you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I wish you peace. I wish you healing. And I wish you a circle of people who truly deserve your love. Until next time.